continuing from where we left off, I finally finished work. So the last few weeks of work were kind of rough or whatever, because I mean, they're ready for me to go, I'm sure. And I was ready to go because you know, I was just over everything with the job and all. So I was like, yes, I'm gonna get my final check and then I'll be able to have enough money to just continue going to school and then not working, because that's what I wanted to do. I want to focus on learning Korean, and that's what I did. But at that time, since I was waiting for my contract to actually end, I couldn't leave my apartment at the time because I didn't have enough time to really search for an apartment plus do that. So my friends at the time helped me search for an apartment. But since we waited too late, which I wasn't for sure of the time frame too, so that's also a problem. And nobody was going to hold an apartment for me for that long of a time while I try to get myself together with this job that I was working with. And I thought if I already switched to a new place that I would have to like come back to work and it was gonna be like too much. So I thought maybe I should just stay where I am, and at least since my job is at night, that it'd be better for me to travel more in the morning than to travel more at night to return somewhere. So that's what I ended up doing. But I thought at the time like maybe that's not a good choice. But whatever, I was like, let's just finish it and do it. So I finished out my contract. I was happy. Last day, everybody's like, bye, bye, bye. You know, my kids, at least the kids I was teaching at the time. Some were trying to get me to stay too. So that was pretty cool. They're like, you're the best teacher here. I'm like, oh God, thank you. So that was pretty amazing. But obviously I was like, I gotta get up out of here because it's not good for me. So I finally found something with my friends, and then from there it was like the best place actually, because I was pretty late. Everybody had found their apartment. School had already started. I was already in school but going to work, so I knew it probably wasn't going to be that many places, but I hoped that there would be something good. And at the time there was a new place that opened up. They only had like 2 or 3 residents at the time out of the 11. So I was like, okay, cool. And they said that you would have a roommate. And I was like, oh, that should be okay, because I've always wanted to have good roommates. I had a previous experience, I mean, a while ago in college when I had roommates too, but it didn't go well. So I was like, I really want to redo that, and hopefully it goes better this time. But it didn't, obviously. But we moved in. At the start, my roommate was pretty cool. We went out that same day and he helped me look for some stuff, and he got a few things for our room. So we spent a few hours that day and we were talking and stuff. And then, I mean, he was telling me about his life abroad, and I can't remember where it was. I think it was like Vietnam or something. And that's when he realized, he said that he was racist because, I don't know if they were treating him bad or something. I do know something like he always tried to speak the language with them, but they didn't want to. They wanted to find more people that spoke English, so it made him sad and angry, I guess. So that's how he said he became racist towards people, because like a lot of people, I guess, don't want to be friendly with you or whatever. I don't really know, because we didn't talk much about it. Just when he said he was racist, I was like, oh wow, well, you know, like I didn't know what to really say to that. I'm just like, like, you know, I had the same kind of things, you know, coming abroad. It's kind of hard to make friends and stuff, you know, because of the different language. And sometimes you do try, and maybe people don't want to come to you on that same level, or they're just looking for something out of you. And if you can't give that to them, then they just push on, you know. Like they wanted to learn English, he said. I mean, he didn't really know English. He knew some English or whatever, and he learned a lot being over there, he said. But that was difficult. So I was like, oh, okay. So like the first few weeks were pretty okay. Another roommate moved in after that. That guy was pretty crazy. He didn't like anybody except me at the time. He would always talk to me about how everybody in the house is like weird and stuff. And I'm just like, oh God. When I came in, he would say hi and stuff, and try to talk to me about different things and about what I'm watching, what dramas I'm watching and stuff, American dramas. and stuff like that. And we would always talk about just random things. But then like after that, it kind of started to go downhill, and that's because the first roommate, he was kind of a bigger guy and he kind of snored like very loudly. The thing is, I used to go to bed before him because at that time he didn't work or anything. He was just there, he was just studying and stuff like that. So he spent his days going to like a library majority of the time and like studying and stuff, and then coming back and studying. But I mean, when he was up or anything, I was usually sleeping because he would stay up later than me. But like that didn't really bother me. I didn't care that the lights were on or whatever they were doing, you know, I'll just go to sleep. But I guess what was happening is that he was snoring very loudly. Since I went to sleep first, I didn't hear it. So I guess it didn't really bother me because I was already sleeping, and it wasn't like, you know, like that sounds bad, but like a gunshot or anything, because I know certain things that sound like really bad, like I'll wake up, but maybe the snoring was like not that bad, I guess, since I was sleeping. I don't know. But the other roommate, he would like wake up and he'll start hitting the walls and stuff, and like hitting like the bottom of the bunk bed. He slept on the bottom and the other guy slept on top, the bigger guy. And I was like, okay, like that's waking me up, because it, like I said, it sounded like cracks and stuff, and I was like, what's going on, like, you know. And then he would tell me like he can't sleep and stuff, and I'm like, okay, but like I can't sleep either. You know. And I think he assumed that that's because of the snoring, but it was actually because him hitting. But after I woke up and then hearing the snoring, then I couldn't go back to sleep, because now I'm actually like aware of it. I'm just like, oh god, you know. So it was going on for some time, and then I was thinking about what to do. So I thought like maybe to keep the peace, if I just asked the guy if he could do something so that he's not snoring, maybe it would help the other guy not hit things, and then I could sleep too. You know, that was the worst idea I could ever think of, ever. So I told him like, oh, you know, you snore very loudly. And he's like, I snore? And I was like, yeah, very loudly actually. So usually the guy on the bottom, he wakes up and he gets mad and starts hitting stuff. And I was like, you don't hear it? And he was like, no. And I think the guy on the bottom was hitting things like to get his attention so that he would like stop, but he didn't hear it anyway. You know, like he would even wake up and like slam the door, like our door, like to try to wake him up. And I heard it, but the other guy didn't. And I'm just like, my god, like it's just everything to wake me up. So I thought if I like could like alleviate the stress that the guy was having, you know, from the other guy snoring, that maybe that would be helpful to the room and we can be back to normal, because everything seemed to be going okay at first. I asked him if he could flip over. Maybe if he lay on his stomach, and he said like that's too hard. I would assume probably because he has a bigger stomach, so maybe it feels uncomfortable to him. I was like, but I didn't know what else to do. He also went out and he bought like some kind of like thing to put in his nose, but that didn't work either. But he told me to let him know if he snores still, so I would let him know that he snores still. But because I was telling him that he was still snoring, he was getting mad at me when he told me to let him know that he was snoring, if he was still snoring. And that kind of like put me off, because I'm like, you asked me to tell you, but now you're getting mad that I'm telling you that you're snoring when you asked me. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, you asked. So after that I was like, okay, let me just leave him alone. And then there was an incident where I bought a bowl. And what's funny is like everybody knows what bowls like the manager of the house bought, and then, you know, just other people buying stuff, you know, like it's different, you know. If something comes in different, you know, then I would just be like, oh, that's somebody's, you know. But like he used my bowl one day, and I wasn't even mad that he used the bowl. It happened to be my roommate, but he used my bowl, and I wasn't mad because I was looking for it. I was like, oh, who's using my bowl? And then the manager was there that day, and he was like, oh, he's using it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he got mad at that, because I guess he thought I was mad, but I wasn't mad. You know, I just waited for him to finish. I washed it, and then I ate out of it. Because the manager only bought like these little small bowls, and I was like, I can't put nothing in that. So I bought one bigger bowl. So it was like the only big bowl in the house, and I guess he thought like, oh, there's a big bowl, let me use that. But then he got mad at me, so then he stopped talking to me. So like things were just building up, and like he wasn't even telling me what was going on. So I was just like, okay. So then one day we had to talk about it, and I was like, well, I'm like a little confused. You asked me to tell you if you're snoring, but then you got mad at me, and then now you stopped talking to me. He's like, well, you were mad about the bowl and stuff, and you were telling everybody. And I was like, telling everybody? I was like, I wasn't mad about the bowl. Like, I didn't know who had it, so I just asked who had my bowl, and they said you did, and then I left it at that, you know? But he got mad about it, and he didn't tell me, I guess, and I was just like, okay. So then after that, he was like, okay, so whatever, let's just leave it alone. So we started talking like a little bit again, but then, you know, it kind of just, I don't know, I think he still had some, well, me knowing that he said he was racist and stuff like that towards people, and I think because he felt maybe like I was doing something to him that maybe it never went away. So like he just started to develop more hate for me, because like then we stopped talking again, and I didn't know why, but I just thought like, okay, well, I'll just leave it alone or whatever. But then after that, he would just start coming up with random things and kind of telling me like, oh, you're doing this, oh, you're doing that, or you're doing that, and I'm just like, okay. So like that was starting to like get me mad too, because I'm just like, wow, you're just like saying like, oh, you're doing this, and then it bothers me, oh, you're doing this and it bothers me. I was like, I don't even complain about your snoring. I'm like, and that's a lot. I mean, you're obviously keeping people up, but I didn't complain about that. I was just trying to help the guy on the bottom, and like you, so like there wasn't a fight or anything, you know, or like, but I mean, like they didn't even care. Like we had to go out one night and talk about everything, all three of us with the manager, and then the guy was like, oh, I never hit on any walls or anything, and I'm just like, you are kidding me. He said, oh, well, just one time, and that was just after I broke up with my girlfriend. I was really mad, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, this guy. So then that's when me and the other guy stopped talking, because we used to talk all the time. But then after he started lying about hitting on things when he was doing it for like literally like a month or two, I'm like, what? And we talked about it, and that made me mad, because I was just like, I don't even want to talk to these guys anymore. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I try to make everything better so that we can be happy together in the room, because we're gonna live together for what, some months. So I'd rather it be like some good months than bad months. So I wanted to talk things out, but talking made things worse, I guess, at least for me, because they didn't talk about anything and would just do stuff to each other without saying anything, and like they were okay apparently. But then I talked to, you know, the first time like a long time ago when I said that it was waking up the other guy, and then he was like, yeah, actually you have been doing that for some time. He was like, yeah, it's been waking me up since then. He's like, that's been like a month or two. And I'm like, yeah, like I said, he's been hitting the bottom for like a month or two. That's the only time we actually talked that night, because, you know, I was tired of talking to him. I was like, he's just causing trouble. I was like, I don't really want to deal with this anymore. And then now I was kind of over my roommate on the bottom. He was very skinny, but I should just name skinny guy, and kind of not skinny guy, but the skinny guy, he kind of like got on my nerves that night, because I'm just like, wow, like you were doing that for some time. I tried to help you, and then like it's like you're just taking advantage of all of that and saying like, oh, I did nothing. And I'm like, everything started because of you, you know, and I just wanted to help you so you can get some sleep. The skinny guy, he would put on like earplugs and stuff and everything, and he would still be hitting things because he couldn't sleep. So the earplugs wasn't working. The manager was saying like, how about we all put in the earplugs? And I'm like, well, honestly, it didn't bother me to begin with, you know, because I was already sleeping, but it was bothering the guy on the bottom, and I just want to help everybody, you know, be happy inside of the room, because we're sharing a room together, you know. And from there, the other guy stopped liking me, and I can't make him like me, you know. I was just trying to help everyone out, but if he doesn't want to like me, I can't force him. And honestly, at this point, I was like, he just has hate for me, because every time we talk things and kind of try to make it better, like he just finds a way to just make it worse, like right after. So like during that time, I started playing online games with my family back home. But then my roommate said, oh, you can't play games because your screen is too bright. And I'm just like, my screen is too bright. He's like, I'm trying to sleep. I can't sleep because it's too bright. And what's funny is we did kind of go to sleep at the same time. He went to sleep about like 12:30ish, and I would go to sleep at 12:40. So the 10 minutes or whatever, I guess he said he couldn't sleep or whatever. So I'm like, okay. But then he says like, oh, you would also make like noises. And I'm like, make noises? Like, why would I be making noises? And he's like, and I can hear your music. I'm like, okay, so you're pretty much telling me that we share a room and I can't do anything inside of the room. But he plays games. And he be yelling, like he says all these Korean curse words like all the time. He be yelling and stuff. And I'm just like, it's like, you're telling me I can't do anything, but you can do anything you want to, you know? And I'm like, I'm not gonna, like, I pay to stay here now. And I'm like, this is getting like ridiculous. Like you're telling me like I have to live by your rules underneath a room that all three of us are paying for. And then even the guy on the bottom, I guess because I stopped talking to him because of that incident, he started saying things about me too, like, yeah, your music is loud, even though I have on earphones, right? Which is funny because that guy, the skinny guy, he would be in the room watching dramas without earphones and just laughing loud. So I was like, so everybody's mad at me. Wow, like, man, this is like not the best environment for me because I was just trying to finish school. And I was going to two different schools. For those that were following me for some time, I would go to one school on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, which was for me to become long-term resident of Korea. I made it to like level 4 and there was only like level 4 and level 5 left. So I was doing it for some time. So I could have been like a long-term resident of Korea in like 5 months from now. I could have been if I kept passing all of my tests, and I was doing pretty good in them. I was getting like A's on all the final tests. And during the day, I would go to university, which was difficult because I was doing 8 hours a day at times just studying Korean. And then having to deal with him. I was realizing that it wasn't the best place for me because at school, like I had no energy to do anything, especially in the morning. Like I didn't even want to be in class anymore. And I'm like, wow, this is a waste of all the thousands of dollars that I'm like paying to go here. After putting up with everything at that job. Like the only reason why I stayed at that job was to come here. You know, and I was even thinking about like if I left when they were trying to fire me at the time and didn't wait out these 3 like months, then I could have even probably been in a better place, like a better apartment, because I could have actually found the place I was looking for. So I'm like, I thought everything was lining up to be better, but it lined up to be like that much worse because I was working in a place and it wasn't good, but I didn't have to like really talk to everybody, so that was okay. You know, probably see them like 15 minutes out of that whole day. But like now I'm living with somebody and I see them all the time. Not only that, they don't like me. So they just like come up with all these random things to just say, oh, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that, while they're doing it themselves, you know? And me and the manager would talk about it a lot. And the manager would always say like, I'm not trying to take anybody's side and stuff like that, but like he was clearly taking the other guy's side. So we'd talk about things and he would like on and on and on and on stuff. So I'm like, okay. So he's like, yeah, we need to talk about it. And I'm like, okay, he's gonna go and he's gonna tell them what's going on and we'll be good. But like during the conversation with the other roommates, then like he would start to change and I'm just like, why are you changing now? Like, why are you, like, it's just because you don't want to say what we talked about in front of them. To me, it's like he didn't want to have a bad reputation with them, but he didn't mind like trying to make me like follow their ways. Honestly, it got so bad where it was like every day like we have to have a meeting about stuff, and I didn't want to go to these meetings. I'm like, I have homework, I'm studying for 2 different like midterms and tests and all that. Like I don't have time for this. One time we went to McDonald's to talk, and before that my roommate kept trying to yell and say stuff too. Like that whole day, I had homework and a midterm. That whole meeting took 6 hours. Safe to say, I did not do my homework and I did not study for that midterm at all, because then I had a major headache because I'm just like, I'm thinking of all the things I should be doing and I'm not doing that. But I'm like always constantly in these like battles. I'm like, why are we even doing this every day? Like, this is ridiculous. And it's like nobody even cared that I was studying. You know, I'm like, I care about everybody's stuff and nobody's even trying. And our house, it was kind of dirty all the time. Because people would like not wash things properly. Like, I lived in a house with 11 people, but the problem that I had was with my actual roommates inside my room. The other housemates were okay. Like, I used to hang out with the other housemates and do stuff, and one of my housemates, we even still talk to this day, but we were talking, like, a few of the housemates, and I was like, wow, it's just weird because, like, nobody really tries to clean up, you know? Like, there was one pan that everybody would use, and it was always filled with oil because after somebody used it, they just put it right back in, like, the drainer. And I'm like, that's where the clean dishes go, you know? So, like, people weren't really washing the dishes, but they would put them with the clean dishes. So after that, I stopped using a lot of stuff, and I tried to use only my own stuff because I was like, wow, this is kind of dirty. And then one of the housemates, she's like, well, Korean people are dirty. But she's Korean too, because all my housemates were Korean. I'm just like, huh? But it actually got me, because we talk about different things, and one is like the difference between how, like, I grew up, you know, having to clean and like cook and all that stuff. But a lot of people that I did meet in Korea, they pretty much majority probably still lived at home, and they really didn't know too much how to clean and cook. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, I mean, I guess it depends on people, because I'm sure like not everybody in America or wherever you come from can clean and cook. But I guess because of the culture and how majority of people still stay at home for a majority of time and still are dependent on their parents and stuff, I mean, it makes it that much harder for you to learn how to do that stuff maybe. But like, my mom was different and very strict lady. I started like cleaning and cooking from like I was 4 years old and stuff, so I'm very good at doing that stuff. We would always talk about different things with the housemates, but even with the housemates, it was still kind of okay. But my roommate, when he would get mad, he would always say like, oh, the other housemates don't even like you and stuff. So like, I would tell them, like, because we had a group chat, I'm like, well, you know, if you guys don't like me, it's okay if you guys don't talk to me. Like, I don't want you to force yourself to talk to me. And then some of them would tell me, like, which is funny, they didn't say it in the group chat, but they would tell me on the side, like, I didn't say I hated you or anything like that. And I'm just like, well, that's what he said. So I was just saying, if you guys don't want to talk to me, you don't have to force yourself to talk to me. Like, that's okay. You know, like at this point, like I was ready to leave the house anyways. So I was like, I just want to finish my school and then hopefully find something new. But the fights with him was getting too repetitive, and I wasn't being able to study for my midterms or do my homework and stuff, that I told the manager that I just want to leave. The first time we actually got into like an argument, I talked to the manager about it, and he said like, if you're not feeling okay, you can leave. And I was like, okay. But I thought like right now, like I couldn't even find nothing, and I could only find this place. So maybe I should just wait out till at least the semester ends and find something new. It started to get too much, like I said, and I was like, okay, manager, I'm just going to go. Like, I feel like that's the best thing. Like, if I leave, then everybody would be happy. And I feel like the environment that we're all living in is like not good for all of us. Well, mainly me. Obviously, because I would do nothing. Like, I was like, okay, I'll just not talk to him, not look at him, let me do this. But he would just find something like every day to just like start an argument. And my cousin would be on the phone sometimes with me or something, and he'd be like, what is he talking about now? And I'm just like, he's just starting an argument for no reason. It's funny because like some people are like, nah, I don't believe you. I mean, you don't know my cousin. But every time we would talk, because we used to play games together and stuff, like he would always be there for all the arguments, because my roommate would just be on his top bunk, and then he'd just come down and just start yelling. And I'm just like why, you know? But it was pretty yeah, too much. And then like after that, I told the manager like, then I'll leave or whatever, and he's like, okay, that's fine, you just have to pay for leaving early. And I'm just like, now I gotta pay to leave early? Like, why would, like, everybody is battling. I'm trying to alleviate all the stress and tension that's in this room, you know, because obviously, you know, it's not going well, and we're constantly battling. And every time I tell you stuff, like, you don't even take my side or whatever, you only take his side and the other roommates, you know. And I'm like, I'm just trying to not have that anymore. But what was funny is that I didn't even know that you had to pay to leave early, you know, because when I moved in I can't remember them talking about it because the guy that helped me find the place, they were talking about a lot of other things like in Korean, and my Korean really wasn't that good. Like I took a few classes, but even in that, like because it's like housing, there's so many words I didn't know. So I was just kind of like, huh? And apparently he was supposed to be telling me everything in English, but there's some stuff that like he couldn't explain as well, or couldn't tell me as well. So like I was a little confused on some things, you know, and I tried to say it like in English, you know, or try it in my broken Korean or whatever, and then, you know, say yes, yes, you know, so I thought everything was okay. The one thing that I know there was a problem with living in Korea was that there's a lot of landlords that try to take your deposit, which I heard from a lot of people and online and stuff. So that was the one thing I was like wary of and like afraid of happening. So I said, I hope there's not a deposit. And he's like, yeah, there's a deposit. So I guess anywhere you go in Korea to live, there's pretty much a deposit. And I was like, ooh, I don't know about that. Like, I didn't want to pay for a deposit. There are some that don't have deposits. I can't remember what it is, but it just depends on actually searching, and there's a fee out there. But I was like, I don't want to pay a deposit because I heard people don't give it back. And then my manager was like, oh, no, everybody gives it back in Korea. But I mean, he's also Korean, so he's gonna just say that. I'm like, oh. Like I looked online, like I have friends that told me that they got their deposit taken, you know? Like I'm like, no. And I was like, maybe just the bad landlords, and he said no, everybody gives it back. I'm like, okay, well, I can't believe him, but like even the guy that was helping me, he was Korean too, so they're just gonna all just say, yeah, it's good. And I'm just like, I looked online, like I did my research, and this is the problem because I didn't want to end up in any kind of bad situations, you know. I was trying to avoid all that. But they didn't really focus on the fact that I guess if you leave early, then you have to pay to leave early, like quite a bit too. And I didn't know that. And wow, it's even that much worse because like the manager can't really make anybody happy. So the only thing he was saying, like, well, I'll just have to kick all of you guys out, which he didn't do anyway because he didn't want to. He didn't want to kick everybody out because it's a loss of money for him. I was just like, this makes no sense. I'm trying to help everything out and you don't want to let me leave. So like that was frustrating me more because it's just like I would have to pay a lot of money to leave. And I'm like, wow, like all the money that I've been saving up, I would pretty much have to give him for leaving early. And I was just like, ah. And it's funny, he didn't really tell me how much I had to pay. He just said it's gonna be a lot. And I was just like, God, like, like it's like he's trying to keep me to stay here, and I'm unhappy, and I'm trying to make everything better, but I can't. And I've been trying since the start to like have like the best time there. Like even when I first got there, I was like hoping that we can do a lot, and I was like, it's a share house, so I assumed that we're gonna probably do like events and stuff together, maybe like, I don't know, barbecues and something, because I've seen certain things like that too, but like nobody was down for that stuff, you know. And I'm like, I've been trying to like really communicate with everybody since I got here, and nobody really wanted to communicate with each other. Some of the housemates would be like, well, we're only together for like 3 months or something, so like we don't really need to be friends and stuff. I'm just like, okay. Like, oh, okay. It was just going downhill, and I wanted to leave. The last thing was that the roommate was talking about how I switched everybody's schedule, because in the morning when he finally found a job, he started like going in at the time that I was going in. Like we had a set schedule without actually saying that we have a schedule for going into the restroom in the morning. And I actually thought he was just trying to be petty really, and he was trying to just go in during my time. So I did knock on the door like, what are you doing? Can you please come out? Because like I said, I thought he was being petty for no reason. First he like knocked on the door back, and I was just like, he is playing, and like I need to go to school. Like I don't have time for this in the morning too. He came out, and then I went inside. I would brush my teeth and all that stuff, and I got ready for school. And then like that day when he came home, he was like, I don't know why you were like knocking on the door. I was like, cause you know that I go to school at this time. He's like, well, I go to work too. I'm like, work? Like I didn't know you go to work. Like, you didn't even tell anybody. And my thing was like, even if you're battling with somebody or whatever, like, you're still sharing the same space. So you would still have to tell them, like, if you go to work or something changes, you know. And he's like, I don't have to tell you anything. And I'm like, but you're mad at me for knocking on the door to ask, why are you in the restroom? But you don't have to tell me that you started a job. But now you're telling me you started a job because I'm unhappy that you're in the restroom during the time I should be in the restroom. Like, come on, man. And I'm just like, oh my God. So then we had to have another meeting with the manager about it, and they were talking about like how I switched everybody's schedule. And I'm like, how did I switch everybody's schedule? I literally been going to school the same time for the past 3 months. I was like, how did I change it? And my roommate's like, yeah, because, you know, I have to go to work and stuff. You know, I was like, well, you didn't even say you have to go to work. I don't have to tell you anything. But I have to go in the restroom, and then you want me and skinny roommate to go around your schedule. I'm like, go around my schedule? Me and skinny roommate been doing the same time, because he's the only one that was working with me. We've been doing the same schedule for 3 months. You found a job and started coming in during my time, pretty much, you know. So how did I change everybody else's schedule? I'm just like, this makes no sense. And it was so funny though, because like, I think it's just because he was Korean, but everybody was just like, And I'm just like, what? I even explained it. Okay, I was like, there's like, I broke it down into diagrams. I'm like, okay, there's 2 people. They're going the same path, you know, for 3 months. And then there's one person that all of a sudden comes in and changes the flow of these 2 people. So who changes who? You know, and when I said that, nobody said anything. They were just like, but then when he says like, Greg changes everything, everybody's I'm like, what? I was like, okay, I really need to get out of here. So I was like, I felt like everybody was just like double teaming me. And I was like, man, it sucks, because like I really wanted that experience, because I was like, I would be able to talk more in Korean and meet more Korean people, and it's a share house, so you know, this is all like my thinking, like I said, about like the barbecues and stuff like that. And maybe because I started watching a few dramas and that's what happened in them. Movies don't mean anything. But you know, I was hoping that it was gonna go well, especially after the job, and it was really going downhill. I couldn't study for my midterms. I couldn't even do my homework. I was getting frustrated about going to school because I was so unhappy and depressed, you know. And every day was a constant battle with like my roommate, who came up with something every day. And my cousin was just like, wow, like we're always talking, and every time we talk he like says something, because he didn't want me to talk on the phone either, but he could talk on the phone. I'm like I'm not doing this. I'm not about to like pay money to stay in a place, you know, and let him be able to do anything he wants, but I can't. Like, no. So finally I did end up leaving early, but I left like kind of right after my school ended. I was supposed to stay another 2 months, I think, which is funny because I didn't really know how long I had to stay over, but I was like, I can't. So I ended up paying to leave early still, but I was like, I at least want to finish school. I was talking to like my mom and friends about it back home, because I was severely depressed. Like, I was thinking about, you know, my life in Korea, and like how, you know, like the job was okay and then it went bad, and then even like just, it wasn't even that long in the share house, maybe like a week or so. But I think just because he had so much anger in him already that he just started hating me, you know, just to hate me. And I was like, I tried so many times to try to not even like have that kind of emotion towards him, or for us to be like in a better place, but it wasn't happening. But like after that, then I just didn't want to talk to him either. But then he would say stuff like, oh, it's just because you hate Korean people. So his whole thing was, I guess since he was saying that he's racist, that he was trying to convince me that I'm racist too. I was like, wow, dude, I didn't understand. I was like, is that what people do? So he was like, oh, you said you hated Koreans or whatever. And I was like, I never said I hated Koreans. I said that I had friends who were Korean that said it is difficult and hard to meet Koreans and that people will do stuff to you, so you have to be careful. But I never said I hated Koreans, you know? And then he's like, yes, you did. Like, in my head, I was like, he's thinking of things and he's trying to figure out a way to, like, I don't know, say that I'm racist and to just make me feel like uncomfortable being here, you know. I think the last time, which I was pretty angry, but he said something and like maybe I looked really, really mad, like I was about to hit him or something. He was like, what, should I call the cops already and get ready for a fight? I'm like, ah. He was like, you know whose side they're gonna take. They're not gonna take your side because I'm Korean. And I'm like, he even knows. Like he's trying to like send me to jail. I'm like, this guy. I'm like, I was like, yeah. And then that's when I was like, yeah, I gotta go. So I finished school. And then right after school, like I wasn't even in, I finished school on that Thursday and I left for Japan that Friday morning. I was like, I can't be doing this. I was like, really? He's just trying to send me to jail. He's trying to tell me that I'm racist or convince me that I'm racist too. I was like, he's just literally just trying to make my life horrible. And I'm just trying to be happy, you know. It did lead to some stuff where like even the friend at the time that helped me move in, he got unhappy with me because I wasn't telling him what was going on. But I was like, I didn't want to bring him into all that because if I'm already upset about things, I don't want to put that on anybody else, you know. But he was unhappy that I didn't tell him. But then when him and the manager were talking, because I was like, I didn't really understand where the payment came from, like you have to pay to leave. The whole time, instead of talking to the manager about like me not understanding, he was just mad at me that I didn't tell him about everything that's going on. And he's like, and now you brought me into this situation. And I'm like, see, this is weird because I wasn't telling you because I didn't want you to be in this situation. And now you're telling me that I brought you into this situation. So I'm like, I don't know. At this point, I was like, I just don't know. Maybe I should have left the job when they were gonna fire me and I would have had something better. A better apartment. Maybe that would have like put my life in Korea back on track a lot better, but I tried to stick that out and I just said like it'll be better after that, and it wasn't better. It was that much more worse, you know, and I was that much more depressed and sad. I've never been that depressed in my life actually, and I've been battling depression for a long time, but like that was like because I really just didn't know what to do anymore. But I just wasn't functioning well in school and like in my life at the time. My mom was trying to get me to come home, like home to America. She was like, no, you sound very, very bad. You need to come home. It led to a lot of crying because I was getting very, very frustrated. And that's actually the first, like what broke my heart the most is that was like the first time ever. Like, I mean, I got whipped before, so like that was how strict my parents were, but like that's the first time that like it was something that didn't have to do with getting like a whooping or something for doing something bad or whatever, you know, to like just me, like I was trying to tell my mom what was going on and I just started crying and she's like, oh my God. She started crying too. She's like, you need to come home. You need to come home. She's like, I can't do anything and I want to do something, but you need to come home because I can't deal with this. You're too far abroad and you know, I can't be there right now. And like my friends back home were telling me that too. Like, you need to come home. Like, you sound like you're not doing well. I think obviously a majority of people thought I was going to do something because I was just severely depressed. So that's one of the big reasons why they wanted me to come home. You know, I mean, not like my roommate wasn't threatening to send me to jail for a fight that never happened or was never going to happen or whatever, but like I never been in like a place like that in my life. And that's why I left Korea, pretty much, because I thought like it's outside of the house, it was actually pretty amazing. I met a lot of good people and stuff, which I'll do like a wrap up after this because this video is already super long. It, you know, it was very difficult living there. I was not like, you know, like I said, I always seem very happy, you know, and I'm a lot happier now. Well, not now, because now that I'm like reliving it, I feel like my voice kind of changed a bit too, and I feel kind of sad, and my eyes are watery, kind of. But like, it was just, it was like the most horrible time like I had in my life, pretty much. And I couldn't deal with it anymore, and I was like, I should just go. Obviously more people wanted me to go back home like I said, but I don't know, I thought like maybe if I went back home, like I wouldn't probably have another chance to come back abroad. I didn't know, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I really didn't want those bad experiences to really define my whole like Korea outlook. You know, a lot of people have bad experiences when they went to Korea too. Like I looked it up. You know, there's so many things you can see about, especially black people, I guess, not being picked up on a bus or something, or being rejected from clubs that play rap music and stuff like that, and you know, and just people saying things to you. But I really, outside of that, you know, going to like my gyms and stuff and meeting those people and just seeing that like I could have a good life there, you know, I wanted that to really define my time in Korea, but I couldn't, because the majority of the time I was always at work at that place, and then after that it was living with the roommate. So in my head I needed to restart, and I couldn't do that already being there. Like even if I ever went back to Korea to live again, I guess in the future or something like that, I don't know where life will take me, but I needed to leave at that time, because I felt like maybe it would not get better. And obviously if it didn't, like, yeah, then I really don't know at that time, because I was already severely depressed. So like if it got like more worse than that, like but yeah, pretty much we'll just wrap up the whole adventure, you know, and then hopefully get back to some more happier topics later. Again, sorry for the long video. That's pretty much what happened at the housing. Yeah, but I'll kind of like simplify everything in my whole Korean like life in the last video. You're still here? Thanks for watching the video unto the end. Please don't forget to check out the description box below for info on my friends that were in the video.
Hi!
Product links, my other social media platforms, and my new product designer. If you guys love the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget to comment, because I really love reading and writing back to comments that fans leave. And thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Bye.